Hello and welcome to Central Georgia Focus, the Ask Mayor Miller edition. I'm your host today, Liz Fabian from the Center for Collaborative Journalism. As always, this is your chance to ask questions of Macon-Bibb County Mayor Lester Miller, who joins us each month to answer your questions. Hello, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
You know, as the 2025 SPLOST plans are put in place, you called a meeting this week that included accepting a $3 million road assistance grant from GDOT and spending most of that on a paving contract. And you said more of those special meetings are on tap. So what's the hurry?
Well, one thing, you go out there and tell people you're going to pave 20 years of roads in 1 year, you have to get to work, right? So I think 1 week makes a difference. So we could wait to next Tuesday at September 2nd meeting to have that same vote, but that gives us 1 week head start. So right now, every time we put out a bid and the time expires, we're going to bring back to the commission as early as possible a chance and an opportunity to vote for that particular company so they can begin to pave the roads a lot quicker, and perhaps we can get a lot more done before the cold sets in this year.
And Commissioner Donis Bryan asked about the procurement process for selecting those contractors. And can you repeat that for our audience?
Sure. Well, because it's a contract that's required by the state to be posted on our website through procurement, you have to post it for 30 days. So any qualified bidder can go on there for 30 days, fill out the paperwork, bid on the project, and at the completion of that 30 days, we open up those bids. We look and see, make sure everybody's qualified to do so, and then we award a bidder. Generally, it's going to be the least expensive bidder that can meet the job and meet the bonding requirements. So there's several things that goes into that. After that process, it comes back before commission for a full and final vote. We also give some time parameters that the job must be completed by a certain amount of time, like 150 days, generally the average, and every day after that they get fined if they don't complete the job. So we had 10 businesses this time, which is the most we've ever had, submit bids for a project, which is a good hope that prices are going to get driven down. We're going to be able to get the work done in a very quick manner, and we have more to come next week. We got 2 more companies or 2 more jobs that are out there for bid that we expect to award on September 2nd, and I expect we'll have a couple more of those come up in September.
And of course, the Commissioner also was wondering, how do paving companies get in line for that? And is there any assistance that y'all provide to help a small business navigate that process?
Well, right. One of the reasons we have 10 now is because Sharice Merriweather in our small business department has been having meetings with small minority business owners and vendors on how to do business with the city. Learn more about our procurement process, to educate them. We've done the same thing through our chamber and through our procurement department itself to let more people get included in there, have more people at the table, more pie to go around for everybody, and certainly I think that's the reason we're getting such great interest. So there's always more information to find out. Of course, we want good quality vendors. They have to be able to be bonded, but we've been also splitting these projects up into smaller projects, which allows more opportunity for participation amongst people.
And Commissioner Stanley Stewart was expressing interest in putting faces and names with those companies. And you can find that information on the Secretary of State's website, right, if you trace the LLC?
Right. Everyone that does business with the county has to register as a vendor. All their information is open to anyone looking at those bid sets. Also, you can look on the Georgia Business located on our Secretary of State site, put their information in. It will tell you every member there, every occupation they hold, what their position is in the company, and all that information. But usually it's in the bid package. If you simply just go online to our procurement site and look at those bids for projects, you'll see all the information, more information than you could ever want.
And of course, also, I've read those bids, and there's a lot of emphasis placed in the scoring for if you have minority subcontractors or have minorities or a minority head of a business, right? That's
correct. We do have rubrics for local and minority business owners. Certainly that plays into all of it. We want to encourage everyone to participate and be able to take care of people and their families and their companies and continue to grow. And like I said, so far getting 10 to come to one meeting. Last year at this time we had 1, maybe 2 bidders, and the prices were a couple $100,000 more per mile. So we can see the prices starting to creep down. We can see more roads being able to be completed for a better price, and that's something we should all strive for.
And also, since we sat down the last time, by unanimous consent, the county commission rolled back the millage rate again for the 5th time. But Commissioner Stewart also, even though he voted for it, kind of questioned the wisdom in that. So what is your philosophy in trying to cut property taxes as much as you can?
Well, first of all, I always believe you're either for it or you're against it. You can't be right in the middle of the fence. I think sometimes people like to play politics. Certainly, there's arguments you can make for everybody, right? I don't think anybody's going to advocate for an increase in the taxes. So to argue against rolling the millage rate back, you're basically advocating to raise the taxes. And I think the 5th consecutive time shows that we're being very accountable to the taxpayers on the dollars that we have. I think we continue to grow, which is a good thing. We have some growth in index, which I like. But I think giving back the people the money for the rollback is the right thing to do, particularly in this environment that we have in the state of Georgia and nationally with the prices going up. Uncertainty sometimes in the market can have people a little bit scared, and I think we want to reaffirm to them that we're very good stewards of the taxpayers' dollars, and we can continue to do that. We also do more with less, and we've been able to show that we take less from the taxpayers, able to provide more in services and to expand certain priorities for our community. And I think we can continue to do that.
And our revenue, I guess, is up with sales tax. How are the collections coming in?
Revenue is certainly up, and that's part of it. We want to have a balanced approach. I keep talking about that. The state of Georgia is trying to emulate what we're doing here in Macon-Bibb County with the floss that they call it. We have a 1 penny sales tax. We have the property tax. We're collecting $30-something million less from the taxpayers each year, which means we're growing our sales tax base. And remember, according to the studies that we have, over 70% of that comes from people living outside of Macon-Bibb County. So we continue to do that. It helps all of our museums. It helps all the other things that we've got going on for quality of life. So right now it's a win-win for Macon-Bibb County. It's a good safety net too. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, right? You don't want to have all property or all sales tax. That's why we have a blended approach that's very balanced.
I think someone mentioned that 70% comes from tourists, but it's not necessarily tourists. It's anybody who comes into the county, like say, if they live in Baldwin County and they work here, they're spending money here when they're getting gas and going out to eat and things like that.
Right. It's not just tourists coming in for events. It's people that work in Macon. Macon-Bibb County has a large population during the daytime. People come from all over Middle Georgia to work at a business in Macon-Bibb County. And they shop here while they're here. They buy gases here. They buy groceries while they're here. So it's not just visitors only. It's for people who shop and spend money in Macon altogether.
And a couple of people at the last regular meeting suggested maybe a cut in the grocery tax like some counties have done in the state?
Well, I think if you do the research, that's something that's not actually what people said it is. I think that a couple of names that were issued maybe had a 2% cut instead of a 4%, but quite honestly, most of the people who have the need for a tax decrease for their groceries already receive EBT and other types of fundings. We do a lot on food giveaways ourselves through our ARPA funding and things of that nature. They're already getting the help they need, so you're not adding any more value. But if you have 1 penny or 2 penny, you're going to shift that burden right back to the taxpayers. There's going to be less people here in Bibb County to foot that burden, and I think that's going to be the problem that you have. So it's only it's not too much of a surprise to see that only 2 counties in the whole state of Georgia, I think, have went with that philosophy, and I don't think it's something that's catching on very well.
Mr. Mayor, unlike the SPLOST of the past that had a detailed list of the projects that were coming, haven't really seen a 2025 list yet. Is there going to be a defined list to follow, or what are your plans?
Well, we did the buckets. I think I talked to people about when we did this SPLOST. Some of the mistakes I believe they did in the previous SPLOST is being too specific too early, because things change. COVID comes, right? Prices go up, tariffs increase. There's a whole lot of things that can happen. So you need to take the board and the commission that you have now and kind of tailor those projects around what we believe that the constituents want. So we have large buckets there. There will be more defined projects in the very near future, but number one, we wanted to pass first. We want to see how much money was available there. We want to see what some of the big projects that we've already been looking at, like the jail, like the arena, like the convention center, those types of things, our roads program. We want to make sure that we took care of those priorities, and then we'll have each commissioner will have input as they continue to do with our office to make sure we have projects. We're still looking at economic development, our urban development authority, our industrial authorities, our Macon Water Authority for maybe some storm water, many things still to come on that. We haven't even started collecting the money yet, right? So we still have plenty of time to work on that, and the commissioner's there for at least another 3.5 years with myself.
And also, one thing that you had mentioned before was a transfer station for solid waste collection, and recently y'all allocated more money for the Meade Road tipping fees, that you pay a private company to take care of the stuff that y'all are dumping. So is that still a possibility, and do we still have a moratorium on private transfer stations?
So both are correct. First of all, we have our solid waste plans that we're working on. We did a moratorium until we can get the solid waste plan, so we retained someone to do that for us. We have our attorneys working on that right now, so we'll come forth with some new guidelines and looking at that. We put money in our regular budget. That's for most of our transfer stations when we do our demolitions and things of that nature from our convenience centers. We take to those because we don't have a landfill anymore. We're closed, right? So that's part of the process. At the same time, there's no secret that Macon-Bibb County is looking at our own transfer station. It's something that was approved in the SPLOST under one of those buckets, and the previous SPLOST as well. So I think you'll see something with Macon-Bibb County doing a little joint venture or some type of arrangement with local folks to make sure we have a better alternative and to save money for our citizens.
Speaking of joint ventures, we have Renaissance on the River coming up with the Mercer University School of Medicine. Last time you told us we'd expect something soon. When are we going to hear about a groundbreaking? Any date yet?
Well, the date changes. You know, it's not any secret that we purchased the gas station right there, which will be a trailhead park entering into that particular property. We want to get that down. We've got a demolition in the process on that to clear that site, to take care of some issues we have there. They're working on the final charrettes on the Renaissance by the River side. We're working on a developer with the convention center, so we want to kind of mesh those two projects together, along with some traffic calming, some other things that may happen on Riverside there with the landscaping and the traffic there. So I would expect probably to have a groundbreaking in the next 4 to 6 weeks. We just want to make sure that we do it right, but it'll move really quickly once we do start that process. You'll know when we're going to complete that process and how soon we can see something come out of the ground.
I've seen some graphics that show like that whole corner going. Are there any plans to replace the Burger King and the convenience store and the J&J's? Or? Well,
I haven't seen those graphics. I think a lot of people look at those particular drawings and maybe they just don't draw Burger King or the Lolos in there. But I think that the project's, I don't know if it's going to expand any much on that side. Certainly we're going to do some work there, entering into the property there on the Trailhead Park on the Spring Street side. And of course there'll be some beautification in that effort as well. But it's, like I said, it's going to happen very soon, and we'll be surprised if that project come out of the ground next summer.
Are you planning to have synergy in design and even contractors with the Civic Center Hotel there at First and Riverside? I mean, like, are they going to be designed to complement each other? It
Yes.
sort of looks like it from what I've seen, but.
So, you know, there's a lot of continuity and collaboration between the two. The Hotel Convention Center, you know, one of the main reasons we chose that location is we wanted to engage that property right across the street there at the Renaissance. So you'll see some of the same developers, some of the same designers kind of sharing information, so we can come up with a whole common theme between the properties to tie it in very nicely together. And I wouldn't be surprised if we go across the river to the arena, to the East Bank, and to the other projects that we have coming on Emory Highway, to make sure that we kind of, you know, consider all the properties and what kind of value they add to our city, and what we can do to kind of make those look as best they can.
Of course, right there is the I-75, I-16 interchange project. And Jennifer Stout would like to know, do you know if there's been any impact on downtown businesses while all that construction's been going on?
I think it's hard to measure. I think there probably has been some benefit both ways. People stay downtown longer to make sure the traffic's gone, so they stay downtown to spend money. People traveling through may not have got off the Spring Street exit to go downtown perhaps. So it's kind of hard to gauge that. I do know that we're about 12 to 14 months out of having the downtown corridor, you know, portion taken care of, and then of course they'll start going out toward the Geico and toward Amerson Park on the next phase. So honestly, I want this thing to happen. I hope it gets done by the time I'm still here. But it's going to be a great addition to Macon-Bibb County. It's certainly going to help all the projects we have coming in Spring Street and 2nd Street, and it's going to be a lot safer as we navigate the process from Atlanta to Savannah.
Well, farther up Spring Street from the Civic Center Hotel is the Health Club. You told us last time that, you know, Atrium has time to get the data center out of there. But have y'all come up with any plans for that, or are there any drawings for that yet? Or are you waiting to have the horse in front of the cart?
Well, under our agreement, we're not allowed to do those things until the time expires. So that time is rapidly approaching. In the next like 60 days, that time will expire. There will be some collaboration with, you know, partners like Newtown and other developers and Macon-Bibb County Urban Development Authority, and making sure that's going to be very attractive, and it's going to tie in nicely to the river, to the convention center, you know, to the health club area that we have there, to the Rosa Parks Square, to the Commons coming on Poplar Street, and of course into the Gateway project right behind City Hall.
Wow. I tell you also, speaking of data centers, there's another proposal in neighboring Twiggs County, and I saw in the news at one point that there's a big race with China and the U.S. as far as artificial intelligence, and they don't have to go through P&Z in a communist country or do any of that. So are you concerned maybe that the United States won't be able to keep up if we can't get data centers? Or
Not at all. We live in the best country in the world. I'm satisfied that we're going to meet the task and exceed the task, and I see the one in Twiggs County. I don't see that happening just personally. The water source they mentioned, I don't even think they've talked to the power company yet. It's a little bit of speculation there. I can always see one perhaps in Macon-Bibb County somewhere, but it certainly won't be in a place like a Bolingbrook area or even a Lizelle area around a lot of residential. Certainly commercial districts may play a part in that. And I think you're going to see the state get more involved in that and kind of say where they can go, where they can't go, and maybe offer some incentives and some mitigation as well.
What would you like to have as a large-scale development in Macon? If it's not a data center or a Bright Mark or whatever, sorry.
Well,
they're
honestly,
too close in their name.
Macon-Bibb County, I mean, we'll have some reports that come out very soon to show that Macon-Bibb County is a driving force throughout middle Georgia. The jobs are here. The good paying jobs are here. The problem is right now they're being tracked to people that live somewhere else, and we're not getting credit for that, and I think that's going to soon change. We do a great job. You know, there's not a secret there's a lot more jobs that will be coming to the area in middle Georgia probably in the near future. Having the Brandon Williamson site, having some other sites that we secure here, we're in a prime, whether it's automobile related or something else, we're in a prime situation here to benefit from those jobs, and certainly we're going to go after those good high paying jobs, and they don't necessarily have to live in Macon. They can go to work somewhere else and come here, or vice versa. We're all going to get the money, we're all going to benefit from it.
We were talking about future development, and Macon-Bibb P&Z is getting ready to draft a new comprehensive plan for the future decades. There's been some opposition in North Macon to townhomes and multifamily and commercial projects. So what do you consider smart growth for the county?
Well, that's a good question. I think everybody looks at growth differently. I do think there are a lot of things that have to be taken into consideration. But you know, that's why we have a separate planning and zoning. It should be free from politics. Should allow the professionals to do their job. I think I appreciate the surveys. I appreciate the public engagement they've had about this next plan coming up. I don't think it involves a lot of apartments being built on every corner. I think we need to get back to some housing that people can build generational wealth, and some housing that people can invest into. So I like to see some more single family housing and things of that nature enter our community. So traffic is going to be a big part of that. I said, growing pains, you're going to have more traffic. When we bring in that new retailer that everybody wants to have, there's going to be more traffic, right? We bring in these great venues, there's going to be more traffic. Nothing going to be like Atlanta, right? You're still safe in Macon, you're still going to have some great things to do here and be in traffic an extra few minutes. I'm glad the Bass Road Bridge is open up now. I was able to go over that thing 2 or 3 times this week. Very pleasant. We're going to pave the roads up into that. Don't worry about that. And certainly those types of things are going to happen. We don't control those for the most part. That's all controlled by GDOT. Tucker Bridge is the next one underway. So I think we're going to continue to have those little bumps along the way, but in the end, we're all going to be better and going to be battle tested because of it.
You must be looking at my sheet, because speaking of the new Bass Road Bridge there over the railroad, Jim Beal has said that there is an area that pedestrians can walk, but there's no real protection against the traffic that's going 45 miles per hour. So he was wondering if there might be more safety measures on the bridge on Tucker Road, which you also just mentioned.
I think all that's going to be taken into consideration. We do have our good friends over at Complete Streets and our Pedestrian Safety Review Board. Those are some items that we will ask them to look at and to consider. Those are kind of altering the streets a little bit. There's going to be a widening project there, and certainly we want everybody to be protected and be free for walking or biking or whatever they choose to do. So I do think it's going to open up a lot of possibilities for those types of situations, unlike just typical paving. We recognize there's going to be some issues there, so we're certainly open to all those things.
And you mentioned Complete Streets, and I imagine that GDOT also works under some of those same type guidelines, because I remember doing a story when they put the new crosswalks in at Bass Road at the interstate, and they had like pedestrian crosswalks into the ditch, because when they do these, they have to have places for pedestrians, even if there's not a place for them on the other side of the crosswalk. So you're going to make sure that all of those projects have good places for pedestrians.
Certainly new areas that we're expanding into, and new projects that we're doing. It's not just a simple maintenance project. We always take those things in consideration. So I'd imagine we're going to go through the same process for all that whenever it does get started. But right now we're doing the paving. That's just a maintenance. That's just a repaving, striping. Doesn't necessarily change the trajectory of anything. The
new larger roundabout is open now at Riverside Drive and Bass Road. And our good friend Julie Bragg was commenting on the fact that that area was known as Holton, Georgia, right there. And she was wondering, wouldn't it be nice to have a historical marker somewhere there in the roundabout to designate that fact? Any thoughts about memorializing some of these forgotten communities?
Sounds like a great idea. I believe that is on a state right of way there. Maybe it's Highway 83 or 87, one of those numbers. So it'll be something brought up to the state. And I think I appreciate Julia bringing that to our attention. and certainly I know she lives in that area because my kids did some swimming lessons back in the day with her.
I'm there too.
So it sounds like a nice thing to do, but I think that's probably going to have to go the state route.
And maybe not in the middle of the roundabout because GDOT
somebody's going to run over it
probably
one day
wouldn't-
anyway.
That's right, it'd have to be gone on there. And just down the road from there, Mayor, is that site for a former proposed possibly Costco or something. Have you heard anything about the plans for that development there near the shops at River Crossing?
Well, I'm sure there's going to be some development going on through there. It's a prime location for it, so I wouldn't be surprised to see something there. Certainly during my term, so I'm excited about it. All the development across our community, no matter which part it's in. But things happen on their own time frames. You know, you got to get roundabouts done. You got to get roads widened. You got to get signage done. You have to do traffic lights. So all those things are precursors that take place about the same time.
Because we did have that major area that went through planning and zoning, and people were saying it might be a Costco or whatever, but we really haven't seen any dirt being moved yet.
Well, things have to be done, so there's a process for everything, so that's all I'll say at this time.
Well, also, speaking of malls, Ned Dominic would like to know what's going on with Macon Mall. We've only really seen like Gerber's Collision and the Gordon's Food open up since the amphitheater and stuff, so anything on the horizon you can tell us about?
We'll have a new tenant moving in there. It's going to take probably about 20,000 square feet in there. We continue to see a lot of traffic there through all the things that we're doing there. It amazes me, people say, we only had this, we only had that. Gerber Collision, Gordon, that's about $7 million. More than the Macon Mall was on the tax digest altogether. You'll have some things coming across the street from that as well in the very near future with the development there at the old flea markets that will complement things. We got the new school data that they're doing over there at the old Butler Collision. Things are starting to take place over there. We're very excited about the future at the Macon Mall. Retail's not back yet, but you got to have the foot traffic. You don't have the foot traffic, they don't come, and you can't put the cart before the horse there.
I think people are looking for restaurants. How's the season been at the amphitheater?
Oh, it's been great. I think what you'll see this year is even more people attending the amphitheater. We're going to have the most sellouts that we've had in 2 years this year. We have about 3 on the horizon. All 3 of those, 2 of those at least will be a sellout. 1 probably will be a sellout. So we've had about the same or maybe a couple less this year, but the attendance has been much better. So we're hoping to finish it strong this year, and we already started announcing something next year.
And how far do we go into the future, into November? Or?
We'll go into late October, maybe the first week in November before we close it down. We've also had some private rentals. We got a private rental this week. Somebody's renting the whole amphitheater out for an event there, paying some money for that. So that's a good use of that for the public as well. So we think over a period of time we're going to have a lot more of those.
And down on Lake Tobesofkee, I was looking at a news release the other day and I had to kind of look close, and there was a guy on a jet ski that looked a lot like you. What's that all about, Mr. Mayor?
Well, not like me, because I'm the slimmer version now. I've lost about 25 pounds in the last 2 months, working hard diet and exercising. But I remember riding that Sea-Doo. It was very fun. They haven't invited me back to the watercross this weekend, but certainly would be unfair competition for them because I know I'd be out there leading it.
So what's coming up there? Tell us a little bit
Plus,
about
I don't own a jet ski or a Sea-Doo, so I can't be out there. So we have some national event there at Tobesofkee this week, going to highlight all the great things we got going on. It looks like great weather, Sea-Doos, jet skis. What more can you ask for?
Sounds good, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for joining us. Remember, you can always send your questions in at mercerccj@gmail.com, and we'll catch you next time. Have a great day.